The world is screaming at you. Chaos isn't a distant threat, it's in your pocket, on your screen, in your head. It's the relentless pressure to conform, to consume, to capitulate. You feel it, don't you? That gnawing sense that the modern world is designed to break you, to dilute your spirit, to turn you into another cog in a machine of mediocrity. You're here because you're tired of it. You're searching for something more, something real, something that can forge you into a force capable of not just surviving this onslaught, but mastering it. Forget the shallow self-help platitudes. Forget the quick fixes and the comfort lies. Today we delve into the deep, often unsettling, but profoundly powerful lost teachings of Carl Jung, teachings that offer a brutal, honest roadmap to navigating the relentless chaos of modern life and building an unshakable, unstoppable mindset. This isn't for the faint of heart. This is for those ready to confront the abyss and emerge stronger. This is about unearthing the warrior, the sage, the sovereign within you. If you're ready to dismantle your weakness and architect your strength, listen closely. The chaos isn't going away, but neither are you. First, let's be clear, Jung wasn't peddling easy answers. His work is a confrontation, a demand for radical self-honesty. These aren't tips or hacks. These are fundamental shifts in understanding your own psyche and the world it inhabits. To ignore them is to remain a victim of the noise. To embrace them is to begin the journey towards true personal sovereignty. Lost Teaching 1. Confront the undiluted brutality of your shadow, the source of true power. The first and perhaps most brutal truth Jung unearthed is the existence of the shadow. Your shadow is everything you are but don't want to be. It's the repository of your repressed instincts, your denied desires, your unacceptable traits, the anger, the fear, the envy, the lust, the laziness, the cruelty you've painstakingly hidden even from yourself. Modern society, with its relentless positivity cult, tells you to suppress this, to think positive, to be good. Jung tells you this is a path to psychic castration. Why is confronting your shadow so critical in navigating modern chaos? Because an unacknowledged shadow doesn't disappear. It festers, it projects, it seeks expression in destructive ways. You see it everywhere, the self-righteous keyboard warrior spewing venom, secretly terrified of their own inadequacy. The nice guy seething with resentment, his unexpressed aggression poisoning his relationships. The workaholic running from an inner emptiness. These are manifestations of an untamed shadow. Your own unacknowledged shadow makes you weak, predictable, and easily manipulated. It's the source of your self-sabotage, your chronic negative thinking, your inexplicable anxieties. It whispers insidious lies that keep you small. The brutal truth is this: you cannot destroy weakness without confronting the parts of yourself you've labeled as weak or bad. Your shadow contains immense energy, raw, primal power. When repressed, it erupts as neurosis, addiction, or uncontrolled outbursts. When integrated, it becomes a source of vitality, creativity, and profound strength. Think of it as psychic dynamite. Left untended, it can blow your life apart. Handled with courage and awareness, it can blast through obstacles. How do you confront this beast? First, radical self-honesty. Stop curating your self-image. Start observing your reactions, especially the overly emotional ones. What triggers disproportionate anger or shame in you? What traits in others do you despise with an irrational intensity? Often, these are reflections of your own disowned parts. Journaling without censorship is a powerful tool. Ask yourself, what am I afraid to admit about myself? Active imagination, a Jungian technique, involves dialoguing with figures that emerge from your unconscious, including shadow figures. This isn't about indulging your dark side in a hedonistic free-for-all. It's about acknowledging its existence, understanding its needs, and integrating its energy constructively. The consequence of ignoring this teaching: You remain fragmented, a house divided against itself, easily toppled by external pressures. You'll continue to project your darkness onto others, fueling conflict and misunderstanding. You'll be perpetually blindsided by your own self-destructive patterns. The positive outcome of embracing it, you reclaim lost parts of yourself. You become more whole, more authentic. Your judgments of others lessen as you recognize your shared humanity. You tap into a reservoir of power that was previously locked away, making you far more resilient to the chaos. This is the first, non-negotiable step to destroying weakness and building genuine, hard-earned strength. This is where true self-improvement begins, in the dark. The Lost Teaching 2, the unyielding mandate of individuation. Forge your unstoppable self. If the shadow is the hidden terrain within, individuation is the lifelong, arduous journey of exploring and integrating that entire inner landscape to become a complete, distinct individual, your truest self. Jung considered this the central task of human life. In our modern world obsessed with conformity, collective identity, and external validation, the concept of individuation is a truly lost teaching. Society doesn't want individuated beings, it wants compliant consumers and predictable voters. It pressures you to fit in, to adopt prepackaged identities, to follow the herd. This is the antithesis of the path to an unstoppable mindset. Individuation is the brutal, often lonely process of differentiating yourself from the collective unconscious, from parental expectations, from societal programming, and from your own persona, the mask you present to the world. It's about stripping away the false selves to discover and live from your authentic core. This isn't about becoming unique in a superficial, attention-seeking way. It's about becoming whole. Why is this essential for navigating modern chaos? Because the unindividuated person is easily swayed. They are a leaf in the wind, tossed about by trends, by ideologies, by the anxieties of the masses. Their sense of self is fragile, dependent on external approval. The individuated person, however, has cultivated an inner center of gravity, an internal compass. They are less reactive, more discerning. They can stand firm amidst the storm because their roots run deep into their own being. This is the bedrock of an unstoppable mindset, not an arrogant invincibility, but a profound inner coherence that cannot be easily shattered. The path of individuation demands courage. It means questioning everything you've been taught to believe about yourself and the world. It means embracing solitude at times to hear your own inner voice above the din of the crowd. It means making choices that might alienate you from your peers, your family, or your culture if those choices are essential to your authentic development. This is not selfish. It is the ultimate act of self-responsibility. As Jung said, the salvation of the world consists in the salvation of the individual soul. Actionable steps. Start by consciously questioning your motivations. Are your goals truly your own, or are they echoes of what others expect? Develop habits of introspection, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature alone. Pay attention to your dreams. Jung saw them as direct messages from the unconscious, guiding the individuation process. Dare to explore your unique talents and passions, even if they seem impractical or unconventional. The more you align your outer life with your inner truth, the more individuated you become. The brutal truth is that this journey often involves periods of uncertainty, discomfort, and the shedding of old identities. It's a crucible, and it's meant to be. Ignoring this teaching means you remain a psychological automaton, living a borrowed life. You'll be perpetually seeking validation from a world that, frankly, doesn't care about your deepest fulfillment. You'll be more susceptible to manipulation, to mass hysteria, to the hollowing out effect of modern meaninglessness. Embrace individuation and you forge an inner citadel. You become the author of your own life, not a character in someone else's script. You develop a resilience that isn't dependent on circumstances, but on the unshakable foundation of your integrated self. This is how you become truly unstoppable. Lost Teaching 3. Decipher the archetypal codes. Master, don't be mastered by primordial energies. Modern chaos isn't just a random assortment of events. Beneath the surface, ancient, powerful patterns are at play. Jung called these patterns archetypes, universal, primordial images and energy signatures that reside in the collective unconscious, the shared psychic inheritance of humanity. Think of archetypes like the hero, the sage, the trickster, the great mother, the tyrant, the victim. These are not mere literary devices, they are living forces within the human psyche, and they shape our individual and collective behavior, especially in times of crisis and upheaval. This teaching is lost because modern hyper-rational thinking tends to dismiss the power of myth, symbol, and the unconscious. We think we're too sophisticated for these primitive ideas. Yet we see archetypal energies erupting all around us and within us, often unconsciously. The political leader who embodies the tyrant archetype, promising order but delivering oppression. The social movement that constellates the victim archetype, leading to widespread resentment and paralysis. The individual who is unconsciously possessed by the martyr archetype, perpetually sacrificing themselves and then feeling bitter. Understanding archetypes is crucial for navigating modern chaos because it allows you to see the deeper patterns behind the surface-level madness. It gives you a framework for understanding why people behave the way they do, why societies move in certain directions, and most importantly, how these powerful energies are influencing you. If you are unconscious of archetypes, you are likely to be possessed by them. You might find yourself acting out the hero's script impulsively and burning out, or getting stuck in the victim loop, feeling powerless. The brutal truth is that these archetypal energies are far more powerful than your individual ego if you don't learn to relate to them consciously. They can sweep you away. Mental toughness in this context isn't about resisting these energies. It's about recognizing them, understanding their light and shadow aspects, and learning to integrate their power constructively. How do you decipher these codes? Start by familiarizing yourself with common archetypes. Read myths, legends, and fairy tales. Jung saw these as storehouses of archetypal wisdom. Observe the world around you and within you through an archetypal lens. When you feel a strong emotional charge around a person, an event, or an idea, ask, what archetype is being activated here? For example, if you feel an overwhelming urge to save someone or fight injustice at great personal cost, you might be in the grip of the hero archetype. This isn't inherently bad, but consciousness is key. Is this a mature, integrated expression of heroism or a reactive, self-destructive one? The goal is not to eliminate archetypes, you can't, but to develop a conscious relationship with them. This means recognizing their influence, honoring their power, but not being blindly driven by them. For instance, instead of being unconsciously inflated by the hero archetype and charging into every battle, you can consciously cultivate heroic qualities like courage, discipline, and service in a grounded, sustainable way. This is a form of energy mastery. Ignoring this teaching leaves you vulnerable to psychic puppetry. You'll be unknowingly playing out ancient scripts, often to your detriment. You'll misinterpret global and personal events, seeing only the surface and missing the powerful undercurrents. Embrace this teaching and you gain a profound diagnostic tool for understanding human behavior and the dynamics of power. You learn to harness archetypal energies for your growth and purpose, rather than being their pawn. This is how you move from being a reactor to chaos to a conscious navigator within it. Lost Teaching 4. Integrate your anima animus, the harsh truth about inner wholeness, true attraction, and navigating relationships. This is where Jung's teachings get particularly confronting, especially in the context of modern discussions about gender, relationships, and attractiveness. Jung proposed that within every man resides an inner feminine archetype, the anima, and within every woman an inner masculine, the animus. These are not about gender identity in the modern sense, but about the contrasexual psychological energies that are essential for wholeness. For the predominantly male audience of channels focused on stoicism and radical self-improvement, understanding and integrating the anima is a non-negotiable part of becoming a truly strong, balanced, and attractive man. This teaching is lost because it's often misunderstood or dismissed. Pop psychology might offer superficial dating advice or alpha male posturing. Jung offers something far deeper and frankly more challenging. The path to genuine masculine maturity involves confronting and integrating your inner feminine. The brutal truth is that a man who is unconscious of his anima, who represses or projects it, is psychically incomplete. He will be prone to moodiness, as the anima, when negative, can manifest as irritability and emotional instability, possessiveness, or an unhealthy dependence on external women to carry his projected feminine qualities. He might seek a goddess to complete him, only to be disappointed, or he might devalue the feminine entirely, becoming rigid and emotionally stunted. Why is anima integration crucial for navigating modern chaos, particularly in relationships and self-perception? An unintegrated anima leads to predictable, dysfunctional patterns. You might find yourself repeatedly attracted to the same type of woman who ultimately brings you pain because she embodies aspects of your unacknowledged anima. You might struggle with emotional intelligence, empathy, and genuine connection because you've cut yourself off from your own feeling nature, which the anima represents. This isn't about becoming effeminate. It's about developing access to the full spectrum of human qualities: intuition, relatedness, creativity, a connection to the inner world, the capacity for deep love and empathy, all qualities traditionally associated with the feminine principle, which are vital for any whole human being. The truths about women that many men seek are often superficial tactics. The deeper truth is that your relationship with external women will always be a reflection of your relationship with your own inner anima. If you despise or fear your own vulnerability or emotional depth aspects of the anima, you will struggle to relate to women in a healthy, mature way. True attractiveness, the kind that radiates from a man who is comfortable in his own skin and possesses inner depth, isn't about pickup lines or a sculpted physique alone. It's about psychological wholeness. A man who has grappled with his anima, who has integrated her wisdom, her creativity, her capacity for connection, possesses a quiet confidence and an inner balance that is profoundly magnetic. This is a brutal truth because it requires deep, uncomfortable inner work, not a quick fix. How do you integrate the anima? Pay attention to the women who appear in your dreams. They often personify aspects of your anima. Observe your projections onto the women in your life. What qualities do you idealize or demonize in them? These are often clues to your own unintegrated feminine aspects. Engage in creative pursuits, art, music, writing, which Jung saw as a primary way the anima expresses herself. Cultivate your capacity for feeling, for empathy, for genuine connection. This isn't weakness, it's the development of a richer, more nuanced strength. Ignoring this teaching leads to a stunted emotional life, repetitive relationship failures, and a subtle but pervasive sense of inner imbalance. You'll be operating with only half of your psychological toolkit. Embrace it, and you unlock a new dimension of self. You become more creative, more intuitive, more emotionally intelligent. Your relationships with women become less about projection and need, and more about genuine partnership and mutual respect. You cultivate an attractiveness that is authentic and enduring because it springs from inner completeness. This is a vital component of energy mastery, balancing the masculine and feminine energies within for optimal power and flow. Lost Teaching 5. Reclaim your psychic libido, the unspoken law of energy mastery in a world designed to drain you. For Jung, libido was not just sexual energy, it was the total psychic energy, the life force that fuels all our endeavors, our thoughts, our creativity, our will to live and to grow. This teaching is profoundly relevant today because modern life often feels like a relentless assault on our psychic energy. The constant barrage of information, the demands of work, the allure of digital distractions, the pervasive negativity in media and social discourse, these are all potential drains on your vital libido. This teaching is lost because we tend to think of energy in purely physical terms: diet, exercise, sleep. These are important, but Jung points to a deeper psychic dimension. An unspoken law of energy mastery is that your psychic energy follows your attention and is profoundly affected by your inner state. If your mind is consumed by negative thinking, by unresolved inner conflicts, by anxieties about the future or resentments about the past, your libido is being squandered. It's like trying to fill a bucket riddled with holes. The brutal truth is that many of us are living in a state of chronic psychic energy depletion, not because of external demands alone, but because our inner world is in disarray. Jungian complexes, emotionally charged clusters of unconscious material, often stemming from past wounds or unresolved issues, are major energy vampires. If you have an unacknowledged inferiority complex, for example, a huge amount of your psychic energy will be consumed by compensating for it, by seeking validation, or by defending against perceived slights. If you're caught in loops of negative thinking, you are literally leaking your life force. How do you reclaim and master your psychic libido? First, become ruthlessly aware of your energy drains. What activities, people, or thought patterns leave you feeling depleted and demoralized? Minimize or eliminate them where possible. This is not about avoidance, but about conscious energy management. Second, address your inner conflicts and complexes. This often requires the kind of deep shadow work and self-honesty we've already discussed. Therapy or deep self-reflection can be invaluable here. Resolving a major complex is like plugging a massive energy leak. Third, cultivate habits that replenish and constructively channel your libido. Creative expression is paramount. When you engage in activities that absorb you, that feel meaningful and enlivening, whether it's art, music, building something, learning a new skill, or even deep problem solving, you are channeling your libido in a way that generates more energy. Meaning and purpose are powerful attractors and amplifiers of psychic energy. Finding what truly gives your life meaning is essential for sustained vitality. Practices like mindfulness and meditation can also help you become more aware of your mental state and less prone to energy-draining thought patterns. The consequence of ignoring this teaching is a life lived in low-power mode. You'll feel chronically tired, unmotivated, and overwhelmed by the chaos. You'll be more susceptible to stress, burnout, and depression. Your capacity for focused action and creative problem-solving will be severely diminished. Embrace this teaching, and you become a conscious steward of your most precious resource. You learn to plug the leaks, to cultivate inner states that generate energy, and to direct your libido towards your highest goals. This is the essence of energy mastery, not just managing your time, but managing your psychic fire. This is fundamental to building an unstoppable mindset, as an unstoppable force requires immense, well-directed energy. The Lost Teaching 6 wield the transcendent function, the lost art of turning inner war into unbreakable strength. Life, especially in modern times, is full of contradictions, conflicts, and seemingly irreconcilable opposites. We are torn between duty and desire, security and freedom, logic and emotion, the demands of the collective and the needs of the individual. Often our response to these inner and outer conflicts is to suppress one side, to choose one pole and deny the other. Jung proposed a more powerful, more creative way, the transcendent function. This is the psychic process by which the tension between opposing forces within the psyche can be resolved, not by compromise, but by the emergence of a third, a new perspective, a new synthesis that transcends and integrates both opposites. This is perhaps one of Jung's most profound and lost teachings because it requires a capacity to hold tension, to endure ambiguity, and to trust a process that is largely unconscious. Our fast-paced, quick-fix culture doesn't like tension or ambiguity. It wants immediate answers, black-and-white solutions. The transcendent function, however, is an alchemical process. It's about taking the lead of inner conflict and, through conscious engagement, transforming it into the gold of higher consciousness and more integrated strength. Why is this critical for navigating modern chaos? Because chaos itself is a state of clashing forces, of disorientation, of the breakdown of old certainties. If you can cultivate the transcendent function within your own psyche, you develop an extraordinary capacity for navigating external chaos. You become less likely to be polarized, less likely to be shattered by contradictions. You learn to find creative solutions that emerge from the very heart of conflict. This is the hallmark of true resilience and adaptability, the core of an unstoppable mindset that doesn't just resist pressure but uses it to grow stronger. The brutal truth is that activating the transcendent function is uncomfortable. It means consciously facing your inner conflicts without prematurely shutting them down. It means holding the tension of opposites, for example, fully acknowledging both your desire for freedom and your need for security, without immediately trying to force a resolution. This tension, this psychic heat, is what fuels the process. How do you wield this lost art? First, develop self-awareness to identify the opposing forces at play within you. When you feel stuck, conflicted, or paralyzed by indecision, name the poles. Part of me wants X and another part wants Y, and they feel completely incompatible. Second, resist the urge to immediately choose one side or to find a superficial compromise. Instead, consciously hold both opposites in your awareness. You can do this through journaling, exploring each side in detail. Third, engage with the conflict symbolically, often through active imagination. Allow images, feelings, or ideas to emerge from the unconscious that might represent a new, third perspective. This isn't a purely intellectual exercise, it's an experiential one. The solution often comes as an insight, a shift in feeling, or a new symbol that unites the opposites in an unexpected way. The consequence of ignoring this teaching is that you remain stuck in repetitive patterns of inner conflict, which will inevitably manifest as outer problems. You'll be prone to black and white thinking, unable to see nuanced solutions. You'll swing from one extreme to another, lacking inner stability. Embrace the transcendent function, and you unlock a profound capacity for psychological growth and creative problem-solving. You learn to turn inner war into a source of unbreakable strength and deeper wisdom. Every conflict becomes an opportunity for transcendence, for forging a more integrated, more resilient, and ultimately more unstoppable self. This is the psychological equivalent of Stoic acceptance combined with active, creative transformation. So we've journeyed through some of Carl Jung's most potent and often overlooked teachings for navigating the turbulent waters of modern existence. We've faced the brutal truth of the shadow, the unyielding path of individuation, the ancient codes of archetypes, the vital integration of the anima animus, the unspoken laws of psychic libido, and the transformative power of the transcendent function. These are not easy paths. They demand courage, radical honesty, and sustained effort. There are no shortcuts to this kind of deep psychological work. The chaos of the modern world is a crucible. It can crush you or it can forge you. The choice ultimately lies in your willingness to turn inward, to do the hard work of understanding and integrating the vast, often intimidating landscape of your own psyche. Jung's teachings offer a compass for this journey, a set of principles not for the faint-hearted, but for those truly committed to destroying their weakness, cultivating unshakable mental toughness, and building an authentically unstoppable mindset. Don't just listen to these words, let them sink in, let them challenge you. The real work begins now. Choose one of these teachings, perhaps the one that resonated most deeply or the one that made you most uncomfortable, and commit to exploring it in your own life. Start that honest journal. Dare to sit with your inner conflicts. Pay attention to your dreams. Question your unconscious motivations. This is the path of the modern warrior, the individual who, by mastering their inner world, becomes a beacon of strength and clarity in a confused and chaotic age. The power to navigate, to thrive, to become truly unstoppable is not out there. It's within you, waiting to be unearthed. Go and begin.